Hi everybody, and welcome back to Hex Token Channel. Your host Superman in house. This is the latest update from Richard Hart, not on Twitter but via Telegram. Let's check it out. And of course, here it is being posted by Coast, one of the project teams building on top of Pulsechain. Pulsechain update from the man himself, Richard Hart. Win, and of course, enjoy reading Hex community. That is on Telegram, of course, and of course, you can find that on the Telegram link. I will post that in the video description for Hex news. So here it is, pinned 25th of January. Pulsechain Aragon client status as of today. So remember, Aragon there's two parts of the Ethereum. There's the execution layer software and the consensus layer software, or execution clients, consensus clients. So Aragon's in that first category, Aragon client status, and of course that we're looking at the execution layer. So let's have a quick look at what that all means. So we can see here that post the merge of Ethereum consists of two parts, the execution layer and the consensus layer. The execution client, also known as execution engine, EL client, or formerly the ETH1 client, listens to new transactions. That's the key part there, broadcasted in the network. So that's what we're talking about here with Aragon. Listens to new transactions broadcasted in the network, executes them in the EVM, so the Ethereum virtual machine. And we've got a diagram of that here. A picture of the virtual machine there. We've got the account state there. You can see it's got things that you might be familiar with mounts and balances and things like that. It's got the block header as well, with all the metadata around gas limits and ounces and block number and stuff like that. Got the transaction root hash there, state root tree, and all that sort of stuff, and the receipt of the roots as well. So here we're talking about Merkle trees as well. So cool. Let's jump back into here. So unless you are a developer, and really even if you are, this stuff is really hard to understand. Some people like these kind of updates though. So some of them more technically minded there. The bodies are all downloaded now onto the indexing and Merkle tree building stages. So if we look at the EVM, I guess it's all to do with this sort of stuff in here, around the block here, and of course Merkle tree with the state of the transactions and blocks. And of course we use the triune word of root there to talk about the root of the transaction, the state of the transaction, and the receipt of the transaction for the Ethereum blockchain. So that's the Merkle tree there. The rest of the stages are mostly CPU intensive, and is what makes Aragon the choice for block explorers as well, and other utilities that use them. So obviously we've seen pictures of the block explorer that Richard's going to be using for the Pulsechain. At the end of these stages, total disk uses will be in the ballpark of 2 terabytes there. Stage 9 is the compute stage, which will build and verify the Merkle tree, and we just talked about that. And of course, it takes this long to sync when building from block 0. After building, Aragon will use a BitTorrent to download the state from existing nodes. So that's kind of cool. I take it the nodes is referring to the different computers around the world that make up the network, and of course the team will be operating their own nodes prior to launching the private testnet there. So that's kind of cool. You could read up on the stages that Aragon uses to build the blockchain indexes at github.com at ledgerwatch/Aragon. And of course, here is a prelude to that here on the GitLab there with the files for Aragon. And of course, you can follow that link there if you want to understand why it's widely used by third-party tools, specifically stages 5 to 4, obviously one of the two most common. A deployment mode for Terraform was built yesterday, which controls how many of each node are deployed at a time. Obviously, the more nodes, the better the system's going to run up there, particularly if you're doing large, confirmation times. Short circuits if a deployment fails or nodes health checks are failing. Now, this is useful as changes to configuration that during development cause the consensus nodes to not start up. So that's not very good, is it? After rolling back the changes, and the chain would not start again without a custom build of Prism. Remember, Prism is one of the consensus level nodes there. And a bug we found and worked with Prism developers back in December, which we've talked about in the past. Looks like they've fixed that up. We have a protection from this happening, which results in safer and faster deployments. That's good news. Faster deployments because prior we used a static sleep to control rollout. Now we have a distributed lock, and when it's released, the next node begins. That's kind of cool. So good luck understanding all of that. The TLDR is that development is going great. So if you don't care about any of the technical terms, you just wait for Pulsechain, well, the development is going great. So that's great news there from the team. Let me know your thoughts, any insights that you have on the chat there in the comments. Hopefully that helped out a little bit there. I will leave the links as I've shown in this video in the video description. All right, take care, everybody. Bye for now. Subscribe, like, share, hit the bell. As always, see you.